Welcome to another Terrific Tips for Business podcast. Why terrific tips? Because I'm Terry, and you can't spell Terry, or you can't spell terrific without Terry. So there you go. I am so glad that you're tuning in today because I have a very special guest for you. I know I say this about all of my guests, so you're thinking, yeah, everybody's special. No, but really, guys, I have a high performance coach with us today, and I can't even tell you, I'm so excited to have him here because he is certified through the Brendon Bruchard High Performance Coaching Program. And for those of you who follow Brendon Bruchard on any of the social media networks, you know that his stuff is the real deal. Like, he is all about helping you break through and break down some of those barriers that are stopping you from being the best you can be, and that are stopping you from achieving all of the things that you know are possible for you. We all have this feeling inside of there must be more. There must be more to this life than just this day-to-day stuff. And the high performance coaches that Brendon trains and coaches personally, and turns out, help us get through to that better thing. We know it's there. They help us achieve it. And so I'm so excited to have Elliott Vang with us today, who is going to share and enlighten us on some of those techniques and tricks that can help us break through the barrier that we might be having, that we don't even maybe know that we're having. I know some of you listening to this are maybe just starting your business, or you've been in business for a long time, but you've plateaued. I know right now is really hard. As we're recording this, we're still dealing with this whole COVID crisis that's happening. And so what does that mean for your business? What does that mean for the next steps for you? And so let me introduce to you Elliott, who I've recently met through a networking event. I love virtual networking. If you're not doing virtual networking, guys, get there. It expands your network like you wouldn't believe. So Elliott is in Boston, and he's one of just a few hundred. There aren't many people like Elliott that are elite certified high performance coaches in the world, guys, in the world. I'm not talking about just here in the States. I'm talking about worldwide. And Elliott's mission is to help guide you to step into your true purpose in your life. Our purpose as people is not to run this rat race and be in the day-to-day. We all have a God-given mission or superior mission, right? Whether we've chosen to receive that mission or not, Elliott helps to guide us through what that looks like for us in our unique path. He walks us through the process of high performance coaching using 5 key areas. And for those of you who follow Brendon, you've heard these areas before, but if you haven't, I'm going to share them with you. Clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. Guys, these 5 areas are what it takes to be a high-performing individual. We have to master each one of these 5 areas to achieve all of the goals and dreams that we have in life. And Elliott's not here to just challenge us, but to also really cheer us on as we gain some new habits so that we can break through in each of these 5 areas. We need to shift some of our belief patterns, and he's here to support us with those things. There really is only one you. There's only one me. There's only one you in this entire world. Even if somebody tells you they've seen your doppelganger, there's still only one you. And he wants to make sure, just like Brendon does, that we have the tools to show up as our best self in all of the areas in our life. And so with that, I want to take this moment to introduce you to Elliott. Elliott, thanks for taking the time to be on the show today. Welcome.
Oh, I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited to be on with you, Terry. And you really hit on the point there, right, about mastering it and those 5 key areas about not just the rat race, not just going through the day-to-day stuff, right? It's about mastering those 5 key areas. So I'm excited to be on with you, and I'm glad to share what I can share with you. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to have you. I have a burning question for you. As a high performance coach, what would you say the it factor is that separates somebody from just your average Joe versus somebody who is a high performer?
That's a very good question. I would say being intentional, setting that intention right from the get-go, right? Whatever planner or whatever scheduler you use, setting that intention in the morning so that the rest of your day will go according to what you have planned, and not checking your email first thing in the morning and letting that dictate how your day is going. Not checking your text messages right away, letting that dictate the rest of your day. Pulling up social media in the morning and letting that dictate your day, right? Just like, don't compare yourselves or your life to everybody else's life that they're showing on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever social media platform they're on. You being intentional about making sure your day is going according to what you want it to be, what you want it to go. And having those time blocks to learn, having those time blocks for networking events, having those time blocks to meditate or take time for yourself, having that me time. So I would say setting that intention right from the get-go, right from the morning.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that having a clear intention or a clear purpose of the day really helps to frame every conversation you have in the day. It helps you to frame what are you even going to give attention to during the day. It's really, for me, that's been a habit that I actually put in place a couple of years ago. And that was a game changer for me, really giving myself permission to have 2.5 hours in the morning before I get into a meeting, and using that time not just to like shower and have breakfast, but to just be still and listen to what the day is supposed to unfold for me, has really opened up just a whole new world of possibilities. Really.
Yeah.
Can you describe for us what intentions have helped shape your life and your decisions for your business?
So before I got into going back a little bit, before I got into the coaching practice, I knew very little about the coaching practice, and just not being sure of what it was. Like my thought before was, is there something wrong with me to get into like that I need coaching? And me being an athletic coach, like I coach sports for the past 15 years. And I had to look at it from that lens, but like, oh no, coaching, there's nothing wrong with me if I need to seek coaching. There's nothing wrong with the players that I used to coach. They want to get better. They want to level up, right? They want to be able to get to that next level. And they're seeking out from a coach, how can that coach help me seek or help me to get to that next level, guide me to get to that next level? Because that's where people want to go, and that's where they want to take it. So for me, I was almost like sleepwalking my way through my days, sleepwalking my way through life, and just kind of waking up, going through the motions, have breakfast, lunch, dinner, watch TV, go to bed kind of thing. And that was a repeating cycle. Like that cycle repeated itself. And I was like, this is not fun. This is not what I signed up for. This isn't fulfilling. This isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? So I was in my mid-30s when this was happening. I'm like, I should be doing something way more extravagant, something more extraordinary, but like, why do I feel stuck here? So that's when I started seeking out personal development and seeking out curiosity, and then wanted to find out more about like, what can I do? What should I be doing? And then that's when I got into education. I got into being a teacher, and so the teacher and the coaching piece is very, I think they go hand in hand. So, when I'm a teacher, I get to work with these students and I get to help guide them and give them these tools so that they can use as they move on in their life. And it's like life lessons kind of thing. And that's what the coaching practice is about as well for me, is to help. I'm not like a consultant. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here as a coach to say, hey, this is your experience. This is your personal life. And I want you to self-discover yourself about, you've done it in the past. So when you say, oh, I'm not good enough, no, there's evidence there saying you were good enough at one point. So you need to have that new belief of, yes, I am good enough to to make this happen. I am good enough to make this work.
I love that you touched on that, because I am enough has been a phrase that we've heard a lot, especially in the last year. I am enough. So what do you mean when you say you've done it before? There's evidence that you are enough. How does that translate for somebody who maybe is stuck?
Sure. So that's like a mindset piece, right? So people, like, say for instance, if they're building a website, they're building their website and they're comparing their website to somebody else's website. It's like, oh my gosh, my website's not good enough. It's not good as compared to Brendon Bruchard's website. But it's like, why are you letting your website dictate who you are? Because at one, you knew nothing about building websites. You put up your website now. Sure, it may not be as good when you're compared to somebody else, but there's evidence there that you are good enough to put that website together. You built that website from scratch. You built that website yourself, right? So now there's evidence, so you can go back and then shift that mindset of, oh yeah, I am good enough because I have done it. There is evidence that I am capable of doing this. I am able to do this on my own. So that's one example of, I would say, of like having that mindset shift of like good enough or having that belief.
I think it was really important that you touched on a second time the comparison syndrome that happens, right? We jump on social media and we're comparing our day the moment that we gain consciousness. We compare what we can do or what we have to what somebody more successful than us has. And I think it's really important to keep in perspective, especially as you're like, my website doesn't look like Brendon Bruchard, right? Well, but Brendon Bruchard probably paid a lot of money for the website that he has. And we have to start where we are. I think keeping that perspective, like, did his site always look that polished? No, it didn't. He started somewhere too, and it probably wasn't nearly as polished as it is now. But he's been able to invest money and time and effort and energy into getting the site the way that it is. And we have to celebrate the little wins that we have along the way and not compare ourselves. Do you have a tip maybe that you can share with us about how we can stop that comparison cycle that we all have going on in our head?
So that's a good point you touched on. So when I open up my coaching calls with my clients, I always start with, hey, what is a win that you had this past week? And sometimes they'll be like, I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't accomplish anything. I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. So then I would do some inquiries, right? And ask questions to dig a little deeper, because in the past week, there were some wins. It might not be big or extravagant, and it could be little ones, but let's celebrate those. And so we dig a little deeper. And then now when my clients get in a call with me, they know like I'm going to dig deep. So they come prepared with like wins to share. So I always start my calls with these wins so that we could celebrate, right? Because you did accomplish something. You did something great this past week. Let's keep that momentum going. Let's keep that ball rolling so that you can keep moving towards those ambitions that you have, those dreams and those goals that you have. So one thing that I start my calls with these wins, and it can be bigger or minor.
I love starting with the celebration, because we easily, as human beings, lose track of our progress. We're too busy comparing where we want to be versus where we are, that we forget to compare where we are versus where we were. And so that's where your wins come in, when we compare where we are versus where we were. And so I love that you take that time to really help to highlight where you were so that you can celebrate that progress. Because even if the progress was, I created a Facebook group this week. Fantastic. You don't have anybody in it, but it's still a win. You've created the group. That's the first step to getting people to be in the group, is having the group to create it, right? And that little win, if you take a minute to recognize it and celebrate it and embrace it, it does create a momentum effect, right? Because now you have this little thing that you're so grateful for. that now it's like the universe almost rewards you with more things to be grateful for.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody this week, and they're like, I just started a group, Facebook group about a month ago, and I only have 40 members. I'm like, 40 members? Let's celebrate that. Like, it's only been a month, you know, like give it a little more time. And she's like, I've been doing it. It's been organic too. It's not like I've been advertising or asking people to join. It's like, perfect. Look, it's happening organically. You've got 40 members to join your group in a month's time frame. Like, give that time, let it manifest, and you're going to get to whatever number you want to get to, right? So it's like, again, just kind of reiterating what you just said there about celebrate that, right? So
I love it. So I know that one of the biggest challenges for a lot of small business owners is, how do I know when it's time to bring on a mentor or a coach? What sort of indicators maybe exist in my life to know that it might be time to engage or start looking for somebody like an Elliott or a Brendon with a coaching pattern like that?
One is, do you feel like you're ready to move up a level? You're ready to level up. 2, do you feel stuck somewhere? 3, are you living in the past? Is your past dictating how your future is going to turn out? Because in high performance, we talk about, sure, like if you want to deal with the past, us as high performance coaches, that's not our specialty. That's not what we deal with. If you want to deal with your past, I mean, we would recommend you to see a therapist or go that route, right? In high performance, we were talking about what is happening now and where do you want to go? What is happening in the present and where do you want to take it? What are those wild ambitions, those big dreams, those big goals you have? And let's take that to the next level. Because people want more, right? It could be more happiness, more love, more passion, more, just whatever that more is. If you feel like there's that more, then I would say go out there and seek a coach. If it's with me, it's with whomever coach out there, seek that accountability partner, seek that person who is going to challenge you, somebody who is going to guide you to that next level. And they have no other outcome or vision besides just help guiding you get to the next level, get to that more level.
I love that you touched on the accountability piece and having somebody who can help hold you accountable to your goals, your mission, your dreams, whatever that might be. I guess that leads to the question of what makes a good mentee? Like, how can I be more coachable? How can I be somebody who's going to receive that mentor relationship in a way that's really actually going to help me? Because we can be seekers all day long, but if we're not going to take certain actions or do certain things, then it really hasn't helped us. So what are maybe some attributes or qualities of a good mentee or a good coachable person?
So before we work, when I say we, I'm talking about like the certified high performing coaches. Before we work with someone, we go through an interview process, right? We get on a strategy call to make sure, because we want to make sure that it works both ways, that me as a coach is going to work with you, and you as the mentee or the coachee the client is going to work well with me. And it's a good mesh, right? So we go through this process of asking these questions and inquiring about where you as the client or potential client want to go, where you want to take it to the next level. And some things that we look for, some key, are like the language that the client would use. Like, yes, I'm ready. I want to go to the next level. There's little things that you as a coach, you listen for, and I wouldn't say there's any one particular thing or some particular things. It's just a combination of things that will make someone a good client, someone who is a potential client. So there's a combination of things, and without going through the whole process, that's a process in itself. So I would say it's a combination of things. I guess that's the answer to your question there, I guess I would say.
Is there a particular, so you mentioned one key phrase, that I'm ready, being a key phrase that, this is somebody who's open to receiving the information that we're going to share with them. Are there other key phrases maybe that you listen for? Because I'm thinking these are things that we can develop into, right? We might be somebody listening to this thinking, yeah, I could use a coach. Yeah, I could use a mentor or somebody who can just kind of guide me on, I know I need help. I know I'm ready to go to the next level, but I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know what that looks like, right? So maybe there's somebody who thinks they're ready for a coach, but maybe they're not as open to receiving some of that criticism. So maybe there's something they can do to help them be open to receiving that feedback or open to receiving that guidance that's going to make them a quality mentee for any coach or mentor. So maybe there are some like key attributes or key phrases that maybe they say that are indicators for you that says this person will receive this information the right way. They are going to take the necessary steps to move into that. Can you give us some ideas of what those might be?
Yeah, sure. So in that strategy call, we let it be known that we will be challenging you. This is not going to be an easy process. There's going to be challenges there that you will have to work. And this is not an overnight success, right? This is a 12-week program that we're going to walk you through, guide you through, that you're going to have transformation. You're going to have aha moments. So when they are ready, and there's a exchange of value there, monetary value for the coaching services. So when they're ready to make that exchange of monetary value for these coaching services, they are saying, okay, I'm committing to this, and I want to be able to learn and grow and get to that next step, whatever the next step is. And you just, me as a coach would just congratulate them on that, and just let them be known that they are taking a courageous step forward in getting to meet or getting to that point of showing up as their best self, or in all areas of life. So when we talk about high performance, we don't just talk about being successful in your career or your craft and then letting your health and your wellness suffer, or being successful in your health and your wellness and then letting your relationship suffer. So it's a all-inclusive, all areas of your life. As a high performance coach, we work on all areas so that you are feeling healthy, you are working the number of hours you want to work, you are having full and healthy relationships, so none of those areas suffer, none of those areas lag as one is excelling or one is getting to another level.
Excellent. I appreciate that. That does shed some light into kind of the mindset that you maybe need to be in before approaching a coach or a mentor. If you're somebody who's feeling like you're kind of stuck and you feel like you're ready to get unstuck and you're ready to be vulnerable, because I think vulnerability is a key to getting the right help, right? And being that transparent with the person that you're working with. Because if you're not going to be honest with them, they're not going to be able to really help you as a coach to get through whatever spot you're stuck in.
There's been times
go ahead.
I just wanted to say there's been times that we would have to say, oh, this is not a good fit. This is not going to work. Like, let's keep in touch. Give me your contact, all of that. Let's just keep in touch. And then maybe down the road, we can connect again and see if we are a good combination to work together in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that you find ways to still stay in touch with them so that way they don't feel like they're being abandoned. Mm-hmm. That's important. As a high performance coach, do you also get coaching? Do you find that having a coach yourself helps you be better?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So prior to getting my certification, I did go through coaching, and even now as a coach, I still get coaching because I'm like, I need to work. There's stuff that, because the great thing about coaching is that when we're coaching a client, we also get something out of it as well, right? When we're going through these questions and we're going through this framework that we're going through, we're also getting that coaching feedback as well. But it's also great to get coached by. So I am currently getting coached by another high performance coach as well. So I do feel like I do need that to kind of keep me in check, or keep me on my toes. Cause I don't want to be like on this high, be like, oh yes, I'm great, I'm doing all of this, but no, cause I know that there's always another level for me, and there's more that I want to be able to give. Cause the more I learn about myself, the more service I can provide to my clients.
Absolutely. And I think it helps keep us all grounded too. I think a good coach who's getting coaching makes a better coach, because then they can stay grounded and you know that you're getting the best of them. And it might not even just be them that you're getting that information from. It's where they're getting their information from too. So you want somebody who's really plugged in. How would somebody know, like, what questions could somebody ask to determine if you're the right coach for them? Because it's not just about you determining if they're the right client for you. It's about them determining if you're the right coach for them. So what are maybe some questions they could ask to figure out if you're going to be a good fit for what they need?
I guess one is what you just brought up. Like, do you have a coach yourself right now? Because that's a great question to ask the coach, right? It's like, okay, so if you're talking about all of this coaching, do you get coaching yourself? Like, that's a great question to ask. Another question, or other questions to ask, would be, how long is this coaching program that you run? Is it a 1 month? Is it a 12-week? Is it a year-long program? And then how often will we meet? Do we meet weekly? Do we meet monthly, bi-weekly? Those are all different sorts of questions to kind of understand the grand scheme of the coaching program that is offered. So those are questions that I would say I would have potential clients ask their potential coach or future coach.
Awesome. How do we determine if one-on-one coaching is better for us or if group coaching is better for us?
Yeah, so that's come up a lot. And there's some who fit better in a group coaching, and there's some who want that one-on-one private coaching. And that's the great thing about coaching. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. It's if you feel like you want that private one-on-one interaction with me, totally, like, work on that. Get that going. Say, I want to work one-on-one with you because I want that individualized attention. And then there's some who are like, I work better in a group. I like to hear, because I learn better when I listen to other people share their stories and share their perspectives. So it's if that's who you are, then seek out that group coaching and be a part of a group. And in that group, everybody's there for the same outcome. Like, they want to still achieve that same outcome. But it's just, say you have a group of 8. There's 8 different perspectives in there. There's 8 different people sharing in that group. So you can get 8 different stories, and if that you learn best that way, that's the route that you should seek.
Awesome. I love that. And I asked that question because I never thought that I would be somebody who would enjoy group coaching like I do. But I love the group coaching because for me, I love getting multiple perspectives and feedback. Like, even if I go to my group coach and I'm like, hey, here's my landing page for my course, like, would love feedback. I get her feedback, but then I also get 30 other people's feedback. And I'm like, well, now it's like a focus group. It's not just my coach telling me what she thinks. I have a focus group of 30 people who are a good target audience for me as well, to let me know what they think and feel about the material that I'm creating, to try and reach people like them. Even if it's not them, I want to reach people like them. What resonates with them is going to resonate with people like them. that are maybe in their sphere. So that for me is beneficial, but I like people. So I just like being around people. So it's a good opportunity for that.
You learn just as much, or you learn even more just by listening to those different perspectives and those different stories, right? Because you can kind of see yourself in a little bit of that story and then the next story and then the following story, like, oh yeah, like I can totally relate to that. I could resonate with that. So sometimes you do learn just as much or even more when in a group setting.
Yeah. Hey, describe for us a time that you have found coaching to be absolutely critical for you, and talk to us about what that did for you when you had that coach available to help you.
Well, I would say, going back, I mentioned it a little bit, like I was at a point where I was almost just sleepwalking my way through life and not knowing where my life was going to end up, and being at a point where it's like, what is there to live for? Like I'm not sure of where I'm going. I had good jobs, but it wasn't stable. It wasn't what I enjoy. It wasn't what I love doing. So I was like jumping from job to job to job. Like I kept seeking that more, and I couldn't find it. I had a wife, a family, kids. I'm like, okay, like I have that, but how about me? Like I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel that happiness, that joy in my career. So I'm like, then that's when I started going on this personal development track and be like, okay, I need to find out what is going on. Like what is happening with me so that I could find that happiness, find that joy, find that why of living, right? So I'm like, okay. And that's when luckily I did hit upon high performance coaching, and I was like, okay, I'll go through this. Because like I mentioned earlier, at one point I was like, I don't need coaching. Coaching is for people who have a problem, right? I'm like, and then I was like, no, maybe I do have a problem. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to seek out coaching now. So I sought coaching, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been needing. Like I needed somebody to help me walk through these steps of move past the past and don't let the past determine or dictate my future. Because being here, I mean, like I was born in the States, but my mom and dad escaped like a war-torn country and came to the U.S. So I was fortunate enough to grow up here and learn the language and know the language. But I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I grew up in an area where success isn't a true outcome of where I grew up. Like where I grew up, it's like it's either you like end up in jail or doing drugs or that route, and then or if you kind of can fight your way through it and then find yourself to grow out of that, and to whatever success is, right? It's to get to that level of joy and happiness. So I would say I was at that a very low point in my life, and luckily I sought coaching, and coaching helped me get out of that rut or out of that area, and now I am where I'm at.
I think you touched on something really important there, the definition of success. I think a lot of times, going back to what we talked about earlier in the conversation, comparing ourselves to other people, either other people in our industry or other people in other industries, having a level of success. But I think we need to think about, how do we define success? So Elliott, how do you define success for you? Because how you define it for you is different than how other people might define it for themselves.
Yes. So before like high performance coaching, I was like, growing up, I was like, okay, once I get to like, I'm gonna make $100,000, and that's where I'm gonna be at, and that's what success is gonna be. And then I got to, I was like, really? That's it? Like $100,000? And then I kept putting this money value and monetary value on success. I'm like, okay, maybe like $1 million. Once I get to like $1 million, maybe that's what success is. And now I'm like, no, there's no monetary value for me, right, that I could put on that would say, once I hit this amount of money is what success is. I've grown past that. It's like, no, I want to be able to have healthy and full relationships. I want to be able to grow old with my wife. Like, we want to grow old together. I want to be able to provide my kids with a foundation so that they can use as they grow up and as they move along in life, right? So that's what success is looking like for me now. Just being one, I would say, so going back to like little things, is like being present. Being present in, so I used to work on my computer and my kids would come and talk to me and I was still working on my computer and they're still talking to me. I'm like, I'm not even listening to what they're saying. Or vice versa, right? So I'm like, okay, now if they come talk to me, I'll say, hey, give me 2 minutes, let me finish this, I'll have a conversation with you. Or if I'm like not doing something, I'm like, okay, let me set this down and give them my full attention. So it's stuff like that, that it's like little things like that is more, I would use as determination for success, as far as like, as compared to like a monetary value of putting $100,000, $1 million, $1 billion on success. Like, because there are plenty of people who are millionaires or billionaires, but are not happy in their relationships, are not happy in their health and wellness. So it's like, okay, do I really want to get to that level and then let my health and wellness suffer, or let my relationship suffer? Because I don't want to get to that point where I'm working 80 hours a week, but don't have time for my kids, don't have a relationship with my kids. So like success has kind of like evolved for me over time.
I love that. And that's such a beautiful definition of success. And I think what makes business owners struggle is that we try to live out our definition of success based on somebody else's success expectations. And that really creates a dissonance in our minds of what is really possible or what makes sense for us even. And you're right. There are plenty of multimillionaires, billionaires, quadrillionaires out there that are not happy. They're lonely. And that's where the saying, money doesn't buy happiness. Yeah, it doesn't. If you get it the wrong way, like if you define your entire life by your monetary value, then yeah, it is lonely. It doesn't buy you happiness.
Yes.
But you have to find happiness in the other areas so that you can have a balanced life as much as possible. No, balance really is kind of a nebulous concept, but having a balanced life as much as possible. You mentioned earlier, too, the concept of blocking your time. So if you're doing time blocks based on your now definition of success that you shared with us, how does that work? Like, how do you time block but still justify okay, I can put this down and pay attention to my kid right now, and I can come back to this later, but my time block didn't give me take 15 minutes with son right here in the middle of what you were trying to do. So how do you justify like the time blocks and make that work with your ability to be present for your family?
Yeah, great question there. So, with this whole epidemic that we're going through, right, this COVID-19 thing, it started back, it's been 4 months now. So right when we pivoted and everybody had to shift about, school's going to be virtual now. You can't work in the office anymore. It's working from home. So it's like, okay, we're all working from home, but then why are we not, like for me personally, why are we not spending enough family time together? I'm like, there's 4 of us. We can have at least one meal together. So I put in a schedule saying, okay, there's 4 of us at home. We can commit to having one meal together a day, right? Because we're all eating. So at one point, it's like, we're all eating at different times of the day. It's like, how is that the best conversations we have are meal time? Because then we're not distracted by some device, our phone or iPad or whatever, computer. So it's like, okay, we are scheduling one meal a day, at least one meal a day, so that we can have one meal together, because that's when we have our best conversations. And I like to have it dinner time, because when we have a dinner time, we'll have talks about like, okay, tell me one thing that you accomplished today, or one thing that you enjoyed today, or what is one challenge that you had today. So those are the types of conversations that we have at dinner time. So just putting that block in for family time as well. And then for me personally, I have found that meditating for 10 to 15 minutes a day in the middle of the day has helped me recharge my energy, has kind of reset my mind a little bit. So I schedule in that time, and I let it be known to my family that say, hey, this is the time that I'm scheduling for myself to meditate. So I am left alone. I need that time to myself. So those are two examples of it. And another example is, since with the COVID-19, we have so much more time on our hands. I got to the point like, what skill do I need to level up right now? What skill do I need to work on right now? So I've scheduled in like those learning block times of finding a different skill to level up, finding a different skill to learn, to grow. Because it's either that or like spend time on Netflix, spend time on Amazon Prime. And it's like, okay, I could watch 9 seasons of whatever episode, and is that really serving me? Is that something that is going to serve me, serve my goals, take me to where my ambitions are? So those are like examples of scheduling time blocks throughout the day to help me be intentional about moving forward.
I love it. And those are great examples, especially when you're relating it to Netflix, the Netflix and chill thing. Or I was just talking with somebody the other day, this whole corona coma that's going on, or COVID coma is what they're calling it, because we've been Netflix and chilling and stuffing Cheetos in our face for 4 months now. And what has that done other than help you increase your waist size? It really hasn't gotten you anywhere. Maybe you don't even feel that entertained anymore because there's not that much on there that you can truly feel entertained by. So you're not getting the entertainment. You're not having a quality of life. You're not learning something new. You're not helping somebody, including yourself. So you kind of are a zombie. You kind of are just kind of zombie-ishly going through life. And so I think that's a very real problem for a lot of people right now in particular, is that they've kind of lived this way, and now things are starting to reopen again. They're having to go back into an office to work. Well, now you don't have Netflix on distracting you all day. So how productive are you being at work? You're probably kind of being jarred back awake into this world, and you're not really sure what to do with it because it's different than what it was last time you were here.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. This has been so delightful. I so appreciate the information that you've shared with our listening audience and our viewing audience today. If there was one thing that you wish you knew about getting into business when you very first started, what would that be?
I would say to be more curious, to ask questions and seek out the information. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me when I am seeking out help, when I am seeking out advice or guidance. It's don't have to invent the wheel. There's proven processes out there already, and just kind of follow along and pick which one you want to follow and just go with it. At one point I was like, no, I want to build this from scratch. I want to do this on my own. But it's like, okay, you can, but that's very hard. And how many people do you have with you that will help you move that business along or get that business going to where you want it to get to? So it's just being curious and asking for help, and you mentioned earlier, being vulnerable, right? There's nothing wrong when you don't know something. We don't know what we don't know. So it's like, just ask questions and ask for help. And people are so willing to give you advice and help you out that the information that they give you, you can just kind of like take it and run with it and take it and use it to get to where you want to go. And this having this your own business or small business or being your own owner is not easy. It's not a overnight success. It's not something that you take today and tomorrow you're at whatever point you want to get to. It's not that easy, right? It's a journey. It's a struggle. It's a process, but that's the fun part of it. that journey, that struggle, that process, that's the enjoyment piece. That's the piece that is the most fun.
I love that. That's such a great tip, is don't be afraid to ask for the help, because it's there. Your community wants to help you. Your community wants to see you win. They want to see you thrive, because when you win, when you thrive, you're supporting them this in kind, right? When we win, we have more resources available so we can sow into other people, whether it be time resources or literal financial resources, because we, as we win, as we grow, as we develop, need more things. And so we need to tap into that community to support us in those ways. And I think knowing and being brave enough to ask for that help, the help is there. You just have to ask for it. And so I think that's a beautiful, beautiful tip. Great advice, Elliott. This has been delightful. I know that the people listening to this call want to get in touch with you. So what's going to be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so they can go to my website. It's ElliottVang.com, and that's with 2 L's and 2 T's, and it's spelled V as in Victor, ANG.com. So they can go to my website and they can find out more information there.
Fantastic, Elliott. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We really appreciate it. We look forward to next time.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks for this opportunity. It was great being on with you today.